Welcome to Maniacal Music Musings once again. Your favorite musers are back. I'm your host, Jeremy, as always, and life's been good to me lately. I got that midnight control when I smoke some indigo, you know. I have to say, though, my lady, she's a bit dangerous, but she's down for life, but that's why I love her. But she wants more than just a little thing, so might have to be a love lost pretty soon. Just gonna put that out there. My co-host, though, let me throw some shade at him. You make me listen to this time stretch of music that could have been 1 minute long. Lucky I don't blast off your ass to El Dorado and then back home, motherfucker. It's closing time for this intro, so as Kel says, here we go with this shit that Chancy brought once again. And we are back.
Hi.
Hey everyone.
That's right. Chancy, explain why you do that.
I mean, he always goes on these tangents, and it's like, okay, so what kind of clever thing am I supposed to come up with after all this? And then it's usually I'm just like, hi.
well, I mean, he used just about every song title we're going to be discussing today. So, like, where do you even go from there? You know?
No, I did not this week. Last week I did. Last week I used every freaking song title, but just because it all fit. But it's you gotta make sentences, and sometimes it's just not as easy with some song titles. But we are back, and of course we have a guest as always to promote something and to bring us some new music we never heard of before. And this week, I am very proud to say of that. And our guest this week is Gerard Longo, founder and CEO of the Underground Music Collective, or UMC. How's it going, Gerard?
It's going well. Just doing some first half reflection right now, gearing up for the second half of the year, and just locking and loaded, ready to go. So just another day in paradise here. How you doing?
It's paradise, all right. I don't know what kind of paradise, but it's paradise. But let me ask you this, though, because I think you're the first actual founder and/or CEO of a label we ever had on. So what led you down that path? Because I'm kind of curious how someone gets there.
Right. So I guess Underground Music Collective, to start, we're not necessarily, a label per se. We're more of a resource, artists. We actually started with my podcast, which is known as the Quinn Spin, 2 N's and Quinn, 2 N's and Spin. That started 10 years ago next month. And I semi-joke, although I might be serious. I'm going to write a book that's titled Completely by Accident, How I Stumbled into the Music Industry. Because when I started the podcast, it was just an outlet from corporate America. I had done college radio. The Quinn was my pseudonym in college. The Quinn Spin was my show in college. And I'm like, I'm going to restart this thing. It was pretty cool. We always had people tuning in back then, even if it was just 10 or 15 of my friends, And so I restarted it, and, long story short, that first run, lasted 2 years, and I had a bunch of community theater friends join me as co-hosts. We put on events. We had guests from all over the world. We had just found via the internet through Reverb Nation and other means, and it led me into the industry, and it led me to a point where I became really passionate about the journey of the independent musician and just the independent creative as a whole, having become one in that process. And so from there, moved out to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania from New Jersey, where I started Lehigh Valley Underground, which is the blog component that is now Underground Music Collective that you know and love today. And of course, the podcast still being an element of this. We were a regional publication serving that area of Eastern Pennsylvania. And we did a lot there. We integrated ourselves into the scene. We won local awards. We were putting on events. We were part of festivals in 2016, 2017, 2018. Then the end of 2018, started to think bigger and started to think, where else can I take this thing? And I wanted to go to a music market, and I wanted to learn about the industry, and Nashville came calling. And in November 2018, it was your classic moving to Nashville story, just packed up whatever would fit in my car and drove 800 plus miles. And a few weeks before that, we rebranded as Underground Music Collective, which we've been ever since. And so, of course, we had the blog, we still do that to this day. We write reviews, features, The Quinn Spin gets repurposed as a blog post where you can watch or listen. But also, we've really leaned in a lot more to the educational component of the industry. We have a Wednesday Wisdom series where we have an industry expert share their insights into the industry and their experiences. We have done a bunch of virtual panels earlier this year. We're going to be restarting that up. And we launched a coaching program as well for artists and creatives in the industry who want to shore up the foundation of what they're doing and really be pointed in a direction that's in line with their values. And that's, that allows them to set goals that are in line with the direction that they're truly trying to go, that allows them to connect with their audience authentically. Right. And so there's a lot within this ecosystem that's developed, that is developing. I said at the top of the show, just reloading for the second half of 2023, because I think it's important. I'm currently, kind of mapping out the structure of things going forward to make it make more sense for where we've come and more importantly, where we're going. And it's just been the past 10 years since I started the podcast, it's been such an unbelievable ride, and, one that I'm certainly fortunate to be on. And I look forward to continuing for years to come.
Well, 10 years. That's the dream. If me and Chancy are doing this in 9 years from now, it'll be 10 years. And at that point, if we can get some artists on, like Insane Clown Posse or any number of artists, any big artists we can get on that's actually known. But we've had plenty of artists who are great and their music is actually amazing, but they're underground, which is kind of your specialty.
Yeah.
So kind of blends in, but we'd be nice to get some mainstream artists. I don't want no Taylor Swift on here, but still, we'll see. Yeah. I already had to do that one. I already did do that twice on this show, and I'm good on that. But all right, what album did you bring us, and why'd you pick it?
I brought Midnight Control from Dirty Heads, which they actually just released a deluxe edition of that album this past Friday as a recording, but we're just going to go with the standard 10 tracks. The album they released last August, and it's their most recent. And I picked it because, once in a while, once every decade or so, you just have one of those albums that just hits you flush, just hits you immediately. Like every song on it just...
Picture this, drunk as shit, on a pirate ship, in some shackles and a brig with a couple cracked ribs, thinking, son of a bitch, how'd I get in a sitch? Oh yeah, rumming the witch, how could I forget? I had make a deal to never really reveal that X marks the spot, but fuck what they thought, I am what they're not, I take the whole pot, leave them on a rod, and come out on top. Alright, escape plan is night, a ship creaks in size, I hide from the light, the keys on his side, I had to take his life so I could take flight, and in this tonight, I made it to the sand on a moonlit night, saw a shadow of a man, so I knew I had to fight. I wait for the lull, I brace for the pull of knife against knife and skull against skull. Sail off, I'm high again, stuck on our island. Skeletons are all that I know. Send hell, my time will end. I'll light that torch again. Goodbye to the island glow.
Is appropriate for the moment you're on your journey, right? And then I can think of two albums in my life that have done that for me. It's this one, and back in 2009, Our Lady Peace's Burn Burn. But I picked this one because it's the more recent of the two. It was just released 2022. And I love what those guys are doing, and they're just relentlessly creative. They started, of course, a lot of people know them as like this reggae rock band, but at this point they're touching just about every genre there is, and it's really exciting to, they're almost 20 years in, to hear them continue to develop their sound. And I think that really comes through on a lot of these tracks, and they did a lot of new and interesting things here. And again, just thematically, these songs really resonate, and they resonated when they dropped last year, and they still do in a lot of ways. So just that's my explanation, and I'm sticking to it.
It's a good explanation. It is. And
yeah.
Well, okay. I'm gonna let Chancy go first to his review of it, because I'll do mine last. I got a surprise element here almost. But Chancy, what did you think of Dirty Heads album?
I had actually heard of the Dirty Heads back in their like reggae era, if you will. And I kind of feel like I shot myself in the foot, because when we get to my album, I also wish I'd have known, the guest we'd have been having on, because I wouldn't have went with my usual go-to. But I really quite enjoyed the change, because like I was kind of expecting it to be the Dirty Heads that I had already known, that all my friends were into, and I was like, you know what, this is actually a lot different. This is actually pretty neat. And it was very easy for me to come up with a 5 that stood out to me as like solid. Not like to say the rest of them weren't solid, but the 5 that I have solidly stuck out to me.
All right, well, let me put it this way. I may have found a new favorite band. I really might have, because I was literally sitting at work today listening to this in between calls, and I was just like headbanging and everything at my desk. I probably look like a damn fool, but I was freaking enjoying the hell out of this whole CD. Like, there literally was not one track I didn't like in the CD. And it made my pick even better because it just matched up perfectly. But
yeah,
so I mean, I love the CD. I mean, I really have to go check out some of their other stuff now, and we might have to do a Dirty Heads bracket on the show eventually, because we do brackets every month in the show for an artist. So we might have to do a Dirty Heads bracket somewhere down the road. We'll see.
Absolutely. Yeah. Supermoon's another great album. The one before this, that was my favorite of theirs before this one. So, if you're looking for a follow-up, go back to Supermoon. Really good songwriting.
I will definitely be checking out a lot of their albums over the next few weeks, I'm sure. Oh, okay. In a few weeks, I should say, because we got a busy couple weeks ahead of us on the show. But yeah, as Chancy has found out tonight, that's not an understatement. But all right. Well, what were your top 5 on that album, Gerard? And like I said, you can bring honorable mentions, because I know you had a little bit of a hard time picking the last few.
Yeah, like I said, it is interesting because like this is an album where every track hit, and when it first released, like it's also one of those albums where my favorite kind of changed a little bit, as I go. But I think, it's been out almost a year, and I'm pretty solid on my favorite song on this album, and perhaps of all time, being Indigo. Indigo, it's like this policey kind of vibe, and really what it is, to me though, is the message. It's the message of, being a change maker, being somebody who lights the way forward and creates something new for others. And it just resonates so much, because so far in 2023, what we've been doing at UMC has been really trying to set the table for change in the music industry, to create our own industry within this whole ecosystem, right? And so that message there, so many of the lyrics just pop out to me. It's just so powerful. It's tremendously powerful. There's that one line in the first verse. I see I'm gonna botch this, but I see something beautiful inside a grain of sand. I see the usefulness of something, and I take a stand. And to me, like that grain of sand, is that point of singularity of, that I can relate to, in terms of starting the podcast and watching everything grow from there, and watching this whole community we've created internationally, so it really just, that song really hits me hard, and it's just a banger, it's just a straight up banger. It's my favorite song on the album, and again, maybe of all time, for all of those reasons. So my number 2 is Shade, and Shade represents inner peace. Shade represents, all the stresses, all the worries that you have, and being able to just let them go for a moment and understand that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. It is just this serene soundscape. And it came to me again at a time where, like, last summer going into last fall, where like I was glad to have arrived to a place like that in my life, where I just felt the sense of inner peace, the sense of letting go, so I could focus on the road ahead. And there's that line by Duddy in the second verse. All the worries I had never made any sense. All the struggle I found, it all started within. But now this peace that I found lights a fire within, and now I feel I'm alive once again. And that was exactly the mood, for me at the end of last summer, so, and then the companion to that is the next track, which is my number 3, which is Live Your Life. And, you're on the grind as an entrepreneur. You're constantly going, you're constantly trying to find ways forward, but you have to remember to take time for you. You have to remember to take time for the people you care about and remember what you're doing this for. And that's something that I can often forget. And again, it was just one of those moments to be had, you know, when this album came out, and that I just come back to where I'm like, you know what? Okay, this is about something bigger than me. You know, everything I'm trying to create, it's to be able to give back to the people I want to share it with, you know? And so it definitely hits deep there. Number 4, kind of in that same vein, but a little different, is Little Things. I love those lo-fi jazz chords. Again, you know, it's just, you know, this understanding that, you know, okay, well, like we can have these big grandiose ideas, we can have these great goals and dreams and aspirations, but at the end of the day, it's, you know, the people close to you, it's the experiences you share that make you who you are and kind of light your way forward. So it's just one of those songs. Again, it's just such a feel-good track. You know, it's simple, but you know, it's tastefully simple, just the way it needs to be. And then number 5, I had trouble with number 5 because I could honestly pick about 3 songs to go into this slot, but I'm going to go with the title track, Midnight Control. It's so different for this band. You know, it's such a different, it's almost like this like cool neo soul kind of vibe in the instrumental. And, you know, it's just that song about losing yourself in the moment, losing yourself in another person. And, you know, not that that's something I really get to do all that often in my life because I'm constantly on the go, but it's just got this cool, like romantic late night vibe. And I just think it's such an interesting new lane for this band. And it's just something that works so well on the album. And I just think it's a great tune. So those are my 5. I also have to give an honorable mention though to Island Glow, just because I think it's one of the most creative moments in the entire catalog. You know, this like battle between these two characters, this whole story, you know, and they're dueling over this treasure, and eventually they, you know, both take each other out. But it's just this interesting moment, you know, in the catalog. And, you know, when I first heard that song, it kind of caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting it, but it's definitely become, you know, one that I come back to as well. So that'll be my honorable mention. I mean, again, I could list the whole album as an honorable mention, but I'll just give you one. So those 5. So it's Indigo, Shade, Live Your Life, Little Things, and then Midnight Control. And then Island Glow is my honorable mention.
Nice. We definitely have something in common, but that's easy to do. And Chancy, what were your top 5? And tell Vito to stop coughing.
So honestly, the guest actually listed all of mine except for Shade.
He said Shade.
Interesting.
Yeah. So like number 5 is Midnight Control. Number 4 is Island Glow. Number 3 is Little Things. Number 2 is Live Your Life. And number 1 was Indigo.
See, Indigo is such a gem, and they've never played it live. They have not played it live once, and I'm like, come on, this is your best song. Like
that's why the whole time I'm like, because every time he lists one off, it's like, oh, okay, well, that's my number this, and that's my number this. Well, I guess my list is gonna be pretty short.
I'm so glad that we have the same number 1. Like that makes my day.
I know. I was like, what?
Yeah. And Live Your Life too, you know, and the one thing I didn't mention about that song is Jared's verse on that. You know, here's a little story about a dude that died one day. Like that is so like he just runs off with it and just like is able to just wrap it all up at the end, and it just works, man. Like it's so I love it. That makes my day. It's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Well, I did something special for this album I haven't done in a long time. I pulled a me, and I basically ranked all 10 because I couldn't pick 5. There's no way in fucking hell.
All right.
I literally by the 3rd song, I'm like, I'm not going to pick a 5. I'm not going to be able to pick a 5. I already can tell this. So, I mean, the first 4 just, I kind of threw them in the bottom because they were, I guess, you could say the worst of the best. I mean, I guess like they're all amazing, but number 10 was Live Your Life. Number 9 was Heavy Water. Number 8 was Shade. number 7 was Make Me, and then number 6 is when I really started putting thought into it, like a lot of thought into it. Because number 6 was Life's Been Good. Like, it's hard to leave when you can't find the door. Like that line stuck with me because when I was about 20, 21 years old, I was actually at my brother's girlfriend's grandparents' house, I think it was, and like we were all smoking some weed and shit and like drinking. And I literally got up from the back porch and went to walk in the house, and I walked right into a glass door. And it was literally so clean I couldn't see the door. And I literally walked into it like hard as shit and like fell backwards and shit.
So that line gave me a flashback.
It truly did. It truly did. I haven't thought about that in like at least 5 or 6 years. And Jesus Christ, it brought it right back to my face. So, but
Beautiful.
Number 5 was El Dorado because I was thinking about the El Dorado movie that Disney did, like the whole time I was listening to it. And like I was just kind of like hearing them sing the song in the movie and like hearing this one. It's like it kind of matches up. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. And it's like, it's a sneaky good track too. And like for me, it's hidden between all of my other favorites. So it kind of like, it kind of gets lost for me a little bit, but like it's sneaky good. Like it by itself, it's a great song.
Yeah, and it is. It really is. But number 4 for me was Indigo because it's just an amazing melody and beat all together. Like the lyrics in every freaking song are incredible. Like I literally put every song on this album into my like songs on Spotify, so I will be hearing them over and over again. But
amazing.
Number 3 was Little Things because, like you said, that little bit of jazziness and like the trumpets in the background, like that. You put some saxophone, you put some trumpets in a freaking song or some flute, and I'm gonna freaking love it. So, like, especially if it doesn't belong there, like if it's something that like normally doesn't go together, like it just makes it even better. Number 2 was Midnight Control. Mainly because of the line, she takes what she wants and I let her.
Yeah. What a hook.
It's a good hook, and it actually reminds me of a lot of my exes. So,
likewise. So, no comment.
Gold diggers exist, people. Gold diggers exist. And then number 1 was Island Glow. Like literally the first song on the CD, it never left the top of the list. Like obviously it was the first one on the list, but it never left that part of the list because it's just such an amazing song. I try to be amicable, but you're just an animal. Like I love that freaking line because that actually reminds me of some stuff my life is going through right now. So like someone I'm dealing with right now, like that's like whenever you try to be a good person in a bad situation and the other person just won't let you, like it's just it's so like that line really stuck out to me. The whole album is just fucking incredible. I love it. I don't think I loved the album a guest brought this much in a long, long time, unless it was what I already knew. So
I love it. I'm glad. And the lyrics, they're always lyrically strong. This band is just they always bring their best and put a lot of thought and care into their lyrics. And musically, like you mentioned with Little Things, like they do a great job of making things that shouldn't make sense. Like they're masters at this point at genre melding. And, I appreciate that so much because in my opinion, it's hard to do reggae right and do it over and over and over again, but they didn't stay in just that singular box and they've expanded from there, but they still are able to come back to those roots anytime and incorporate all these different genres, so I think they do such a great job of just like bringing it all together and making it make sense even when it shouldn't. That's one of the most exciting things to me.
Well, speaking of doing things that people shouldn't, Chancy, what seeds you bring?
I actually brought Bassnectar's Timestretch.
This is the portion of the episode where normally I would play a clip from Chancy's album. However, due to his album sucking so much ass when we record this episode, I cannot do that in good conscience or good taste. You uncultured swine, Chancy! How dare you try to bring this stuff on our show? This fucking shit called Bassnectar. Stay tuned for better music. And now back to your regularly scheduled programming.
So, like I was saying before, if I would have actually known the guest this week, my normal go-to is kind of a twofold thing. So one is kind of trying to make it as difficult for Jeremy as humanly possible. And then also I go to my like list and I'll hit random. And then the first one that shuffles up just kind of gets picked. And after he told me your guys' pick for albums, I hit shuffle, Basshead came up, and I was like, oh, okay. But if I would have known better, I'd have either, I was going to go with Sublime, but I felt that would have been a little cliche. And then I was thinking, well, maybe I could go Daft Punk, but I was like, I can't go against the shuffle. The shuffle has spoken. I kind of, like I said, I wish I'd have known more about the guest this time around, but I usually like to go in cold, so that way it kind of makes things more interesting and spicy. But yeah, it was as much of a torture for me as it was for Jeremy, I'm sure, or yourself. I should apologize to you personally more than anything.
I'm pretty open-minded. I mean, I have to be in my role, but I mean, I will say, like, electronica has never really been my jam, but I can appreciate it, and I tend to appreciate it more when elements of it are inserted into other genres. But with that said, I was able to come up with a list, although I kind of took a little bit of a different approach, because between 2 songs and their remixes, you have 5 songs right there. And
right,
those ended up being my top 5. But anyway,
nice.
I'll let you keep.
Oh no, you're good. No, you're good. You're good. By all means, continue your review.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
So I will say this: of the 3, so I have 5 total between the 2 songs and the remixes. Right, the 3 bass heads and the 2 time stretches. And I will say, my favorite absolutely was the original Time Stretch. I actually really enjoyed that. I really
nice
liked those tasteful, like, spacey kind of elements, like it kind of felt like it should, like, kind of sci-fi to me, and there was just this, like, intensity to it as well. Like, you're going on some kind of galactic voyage. I felt like the lo-fi remix to that one was still strong, but, like, I felt like the original was just fuller bodied and just had more of a cosmic sensibility to it. And that's what I really enjoyed about it. And then Basshead, I ranked to round out my top 5, I ranked the 3 bass heads in order. And so I started with SPL because I felt like that was the most intense. And I felt like, I feel like electronic music just needs to be intense, for me to really get into it. And then I went, to the original version as number 4 because it was slightly less intense, but still there. And then I went to MRK1, which I appreciated, but I felt like it was just, like, too slow. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I felt like I really appreciated the intensity of the SPL, but I found it interesting how you could, like, take those 3 ideas, take the song and present it 3 different ways, right? And, that definitely like the nuance to that definitely takes a lot of talent and creativity on the production end. So, but ranked on intensity, I would definitely go SPL, then the original, then MRK1, but both time stretches beat them to me. So that's my top 5.
For sure. Nice. Go ahead, Jeremy. I'm ready for your garbage nonsense. Let's go. Yeah, you better stretch. God forbid you pull something.
I might. I just fucking might. Because what the fuck did you bring on this show, Chancy? God damn, I need new co-hosts.
It's still better. It's still better than the Kottonmouth Kings. I mean, I'm just saying.
Oh, shut your mouth, Chancy. It would be like that freaking scene from The Ringer if I literally had the album, because it would literally be like, "Did you scratch my CD? You're damn right I fucking did. This is trash." But, like, Jesus Christ, like, if I had a CD player, if I literally had a Walkman, like, back in the 2000s, I would have threw it when I heard this shit. But, fuck.
It's nice to know I succeeded in my mission for the week.
You truly did. I mean, Jesus. I'm all for some good techno. Don't get me wrong. Like, give me fucking... You could have... If you want to bring that shit, you could have brought the Korn album they did with Skrillex. Like, that shit was amazing. But... I mean, or you could have brought DJ Alligator Project's Blow My Whistle CD. Like, fuck. That's all better than this. Like,
but then it wouldn't have got you in this riled up state that you're in. I mean, that's content right there. This is gold. What are you talking about?
It's gold, but fuck, man. And yes, I have a top 4 because there's only 4 real songs in this fucking CD now. Wasn't the shitty remixes. And I do not. And see, you can't even say anything about my album tonight. You fucking can't say shit because you just set the bar so low. I literally could fucking like crawl over it. Like, Jesus Christ! Like I'm about to take my fucking shirt off. I'm sweating so bad from fucking sweating out all this shit.
I'm gonna use that line, by the way. You set the bar so low I can crawl over it. I'm gonna use that line at some point. I'm filing that one away for later. Oh, that was good. Anyway,
Woo! But I mean, don't get me wrong.
Does that conclude your review?
Not yet. I can't. I'm too nice a guy. I'm too nice a guy, so I can't hate on anything completely without at least giving one little compliment for it. It's like when
it was short.
It's like when your kids. It's like when your kids are bad, and like you're a horrible kid, and then it's like, but you're creative. But it's like a couple, like one or two of these were not horrible to listen to. It just should have been like 4 fucking minutes shorter. But it could have literally been a minute long and would have sounded just as good. But so yeah, but Chancy, what are your top? Whatever the fuck number you picked for this atrocity of an album? I'll put it that way.
So yeah, for number 5, it was actually Mark 1, Basshead Mark 1. Number 4 was Timestretch Mark 1. Number 3 was Blast Off. No, I'm sorry, SPL. Number 2 was Blast Off, and then number 1 was Basshead.
I mean, I think you're a basshead if you're listening to this fucking album, but but yeah, to end this atrocity of an album, my top 4 were number 4 was Blast Off because that was just trash. Number 3 was Here We Go because that was also just trash. Number 2 was Basshead, which was decent, and then number 1 was Timestretch, which was like the only good song on this whole fucking album.
Timestretch slaps. I like Timestretch.
It did. Number one was Timestretch for that reason because it was. Yeah. I actually when I listened to that, I was like, all right. I'm like, it's a short album. Maybe there's potential. That's actually the only track I listened all the way through to. The rest of them I listened to like the first minute and then I started like skipping through it. Like it sounds the same. Okay, I don't need to listen anymore. But like, I'm like, no lyrics. Okay, we're good. But it's just, oh my god, dude, like I listened to this album last, and I'm just happy I listened to it at work. Before, like the last 5 minutes before I left work, because if I had to listen to this on the way home, I might have fucking crashed my car to end this misery. Like fuck.
There's always next albums, buddy. There's always next album.
It might have broke my fucking speakers I put it on my car. I don't fucking know. Like it might have just been so hard, my speakers might have committed suicide. But Jesus.
By all means, Jeremy, delight us with your god awful pick of the week.
God awful my ass. My album is actually fucking way better than yours was. Thank you. Way better. But
I mean, that's like really not saying much. I purposefully shot low on this one.
Oh, you couldn't shoot any lower if you're laying on the ground, but yeah, Jesus Christ, oh my God,
he can't even compose himself to talk about his album, probably because he knows how trashy it is. But we'll get to it.
No. But watch it. Okay, well, first things first, Chancy. Read the banner.
I don't know why. Because I just had to do it. I had to do it. The shuffle spoke, man. What can I say? I do as the shuffle commands.
Well, you're a slave to the shuffle, and you shouldn't be. Unless it's the electric shuffle, you shouldn't be a slave to it. But the album I decided to bring this week, because as soon as I started listening to his album, I was like, ooh, I know a band that matches with this perfectly. And, it's just going to throw a little, it's going to give Chancy a little bit of a hemorrhoid maybe, so I'll have to do it. And the album I decided to bring, which I think is a much better album than the first time I brought this band on a couple weeks ago, my album was Kottonmouth Kings Sunrise Sessions, because it's a traditional stoner album.
Let me talk about a girl that broke my heart. I wish I could say it was just one girl, but I got about 15 stars. Any more these days, I think I'm gonna treat her like a prostitute. All done with a fake face and a fake place on a fake case, yeah, I'm through. Done with all the tactics, I'ma practice a little bit of that green love. Make money, smoke that good, and chain another honey till they can't get enough. Girl, do you want me? Why do you haunt me? Why do they make me feel like flying off the handle? That's because...
And it's, to me, I mean, I listened to my album and your album, Gerard, while being stoned. So my stone went away by the time I got Chancy's album, and thank God, because I probably would have went away anyway at that point. But I picked this album because it matched perfectly. It matched perfectly with what I heard the few songs I played quickly of your album to pick mine. And I mean, I love the Kottonmouth Kings, and this album is. And this album I actually appreciate just as much now as I did 10 years ago, unlike the other one I brought on. So, I mean, this album has a lot of just good feels in it, and basically a song for every mood. That's a great part. But so, I mean, that's why I brought it. I really don't need to go that much into the Kottonmouth Kings that I did a couple weeks ago, and our listeners know who they are by now and how much people hate them. But what did you think of the Kottonmouth Kings, Gerard?
This was an album that I didn't expect to enjoy as much as I did. I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I was vaguely familiar with the Kottonmouth Kings from like when I think it was MTV2 was a thing, and I saw one of their music videos back in like 2001. But I hadn't really followed them, but I, always interested to give it a try. And yeah, I enjoy this more than I thought I would. And yeah, there's an interesting genre meld here again. A lot of good feels, like you said. I would say, I'll start from the bottom this time. I'll go number 5.
Hold off your top 5, because we gotta let Grandpa Puts down there give his review.
I was gonna say I can wait. It's fine. He can talk about his.
I'm not waiting.
Okay. Well,
it's like a band ripping off.
Regular listeners already know my my certain feelings for this. I can't even. I don't even know that the English language has a term that would quite encompass the just sheer deplorably awful nature of this band. I mean, if I wanted to listen to middle-aged guys living in the suburbs bitching about their homeowners association and getting stoned every day, I would go to fucking Des Moines and I would sit in the fucking suburbs of West Des Moines and listen to their garbage bullshit. Or to Pella. I could go over to Pella and listen to the same damn thing. And you know what? I wouldn't have to spend money to do it. I could just go there for free and listen to the same garbage nonsense that was encapsulated in whatever recording this horrible thing was, and then mass produced. This went out and was collectively listened to by God knows who. We put people on watch lists for lesser things, for God's sake.
See, it's funny because you can't even talk because your album was just trash. So, like, dude. Okay, so my album might be trash, but it may not. My album at least won't keep me 100 yards from a fucking playground. Shit, man. It might. It just might. It might keep you 500. It might keep you 500 yards away from a playground, for God's sake. I gotta stop.
I gotta let Gerard breathe. He's like somebody get him a paper bag.
I'm good.
Jesus Christ.
Like, I'm not going to be responsible for the first fatality on the show. Okay, that's not on me.
It will be one day, pretty sure, but
we already had one guest have to leave the screen to die laughing and then come back.
I'm good. I got it. I got it together. I'm good.
Well, for my own CD, I had three honorable mentions.
Of course you did.
Hey, I actually had more honorable mentions for Gerard's CD than mine, so that's saying something.
Yeah, his was a lot better. That's exactly what it says.
I'm gonna blast you off from fucking El Dorado to your house. I swear to God, like it's gonna be a Hulk punch.
Send me to the city. Send me to the city of gold, man. I don't care. Send me to El Dorado.
No. We're going to El Dorado together. Then I'm gonna fucking blast you home once I get there, and I'm gonna take all the gold and leave. So it's gonna be a Hulk. It's gonna be a Hulk punch, and you're gonna be flying across the continent. So yeah, but. The first honorable mention I had was Down for Life because it's a beautiful song about their road to where they got, of how they got to this album, basically, and all the people they've worked with, and basically how big they got in the first 10 years of their career. And how, they got huge. They started their own fucking record label and had 20 artists on it at one point. Like, you can't disrespect what they did. They made so many good artists. Mad Child wouldn't be a thing without them. Swollen Members wouldn't be a thing without them. Freaking Head PE wouldn't be as big as they are without Kottonmouth Kings.
Oh boy!
Hey, Head PE is fucking amazing. Gerard Longo is a master. Okay, I'll bring Head PE sometime soon. But my next one was Cruising because it's just a good song to drive around stoned to, and it's got good vibes. It's just got good vibes, happy vibes. And then the last honorable mention I had was Said and Done. Because it's just it's a good way to end a CD, and it's a very peaceful song. Like at the end of the day, when you're sitting there smoking a blunt, like you can just put that on and just be like, relaxation completely. Number 5 was Back Home, because who doesn't love being back home after being out? It's the greatest thing in the world when you're out of your house all fucking day, running errands you want to run, and then then you come home and it's just amazing. Like you just want to go back home. Number 4 was Ganja Days because I love that song. Like it's the perfect smoking song. Like they have the perfect melodies with their voices in it as well to match the music. And I love the way they actually can sing and rap at the same time. Like it's just incredible. Rip Rock is just amazing. And just to put it out there, Kottonmouth Kings walked so that Dirty Heads could run with this album. They did because they came out a decade before Dirty Heads did. So.
Yeah, this is 2011. Yeah, and
this album is, but they started in the early 90s.
right. But yeah, it was even to see the marriage of genres and how well it's pulled off in certain spots on this album. Yeah, it definitely gave me. Yeah, it definitely like kind of triggered some of that for me too. Yeah, like kind of seeing how things have evolved in the landscape since.
I'm just laughing because Chancy's looking down like, oh my God, I can't believe it's through
this. Don't encourage him. The Dirty Heads got there on their own merit. Don't let him think that awful band had anything to do with anything awesome ever in the history of all time.
See, it doesn't work as well, Chancy, when the guest doesn't agree with you. So number 3 for me was Closing Time. Because it always made me think of like that other Closing Time, like more rock song that I forget who did it.
Semisonic.
Yeah, I was gonna say Semisonic. Yep.
Yeah, it reminded me of that, but like kind of different, but kind of similar. Like I think Semisonics might come out a few years sooner, but I'm not sure. Like it was around the same time, I think. But
I'm pretty sure Semisonic came out in like the 90s, man.
Like 97, 98, I want to say. Yeah. I was in middle school for that. Yeah.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
True. I think I was in.
98 was a pretty solid year for music.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's when Kottonmouth Kings came out one of the best albums. And number 2 was Love Lost because Love Lost has always been one of my favorite songs by Kottonmouth Kings, and it's a great breakup song. Like I've used it so many times in my life for breakups. It's a great breakup song. Like it describes exactly what you're feeling and I mean, I love their beats. Like their stoner beats are just amazing. Like you could tell they're stoned as fuck whenever they make music. Like, I mean, obviously it's Kottonmouth Kings, it's in the name, and they're all their videos. They literally are wearing like freaking the mask and everything too. They just freaking get stoned as shit. And number one was She's Dangerous, because who doesn't like a song about a dangerous woman because they exist everywhere in this world? So I'm married to one. But so I mean, those are my top 5. I mean, I enjoy this whole fucking CD just because it's so peaceful. I mean, it's just so peaceful. I mean, Sunrise Sessions. It makes sense. It's literally a CD you could put on first thing in the morning when smoking, like when you're waking and baking. Like it's the perfect CD for that. And Chancy's like, "Oh, son of a bitch, you kidding me?" But Gerard, what were your top 5?
Okay, so I will say there was a stretch, that I thought was the strongest stretch on the album, and those songs comprise about 3 of my top 5 here. I'm going to start though with Boom Clap Sound. I just thought the hip hop verses were really strong. There were some bars in that song, and I just thought it was a really, really strong effort, in that regard. Couple tracks before that, you had California, which feel good vibe, one of those moments on the album that just gets you in an elevated mood. And then I had written down in my notes here, California was feel good, and My Garden was feel gooder. Because I feel like it took that, it took the vibe of California and took it up another notch. Love Lost was also on my list. I just really love that interplay between the reggae and dubstep influences. I thought it was really well done. And again, as somebody who appreciates a good genre meld, I thought they nailed it there. And it did remind me of a lot of the stuff that I like to listen to. And then Back Home definitely stood out for me because I love going back home after a long time in Nashville, and just like seeing people I haven't seen, getting to do things I haven't done in a while. And what it does is it refills your cup, it recharges your battery, and it gets you ready. There's that one part, later in the song where he's like, all right, like I love the Pacific Northwest, but now it's time to go back to California. And it's like, it just kind of illustrated that charge that you get from being in a different element and doing things a little differently for a while. So that one, that was my favorite for that reason, because, it's definitely something, especially this time of year, when I do make trips back to the Northeast, that definitely resonated with me. So those are my 5. Yeah. A lot of feel good moments. I mean, yeah, I did. I enjoyed this album more than I thought I would. I will say, at first I was a little, the first track, I was a little like, we'll see where this goes.
Yeah.
But after that, like, there are definitely some solid moments.
Oh yeah, I mean the first track. I mean that's why it was literally my bottom song on my list, is because I like it because they go through their career basically, and
yeah,
they say like we got to work with Tech 9, we got to have ICP on a song, we got to tour with Head PE, we got to do all this great stuff, and like they're great. I like it because they're not snobby because they got big. Like they're still grateful for being able to make it, even because they were just stoners from the suburbs. It's all they ever wore as kids. And they were kids who just made it. And I mean, working with bigger artists eventually like made them get huge, but they just, their own work did it. Like they just made themselves get huge because they could do so many genres on the same CDs. Ska, rap, rock, they could do it all. Like even they have punk songs too. I mean, the last CD I brought had a couple punk songs on it, but I mean, they do a whole, actually the video you might have saw back in 2001 might have been my favorite video, the Stomp and Rampage medley video they did. It's like basically all Clockwork Orange based, but
possibly, yeah. It was a long time ago, but
yeah. I mean, yeah, trust me, I know, but
yeah,
it's just, I mean, I don't know. Kottonmouth Kings to me, yeah, not all their stuff still stands like after decades later, but certain albums like this one do. Like they're ones you could still put on and just like smoke a blunt to, and by the time it's done, you're just feeling good and you have these good vibes going on from listening to that instead of some like heavy metal or some shit. So as much as I love heavy metal, but it's just not the time for it.
Right, yeah.
But
time and place, yeah.
All right, Chance-a-Lot. Let's hear your top 5.
Oh, you assume I actually have a top 5.
Oh, I know you do. And CJ, if you want to hear the discussion about Dirty Heads, then go back to the beginning of the episode. But that was the first album we talked about, and we all loved it. We all loved it.
Yeah.
So that's the short of it. But
so my number 5 was California. Number 4 was She's Dangerous. Number 3 was My Garden. Number 2 was Ganja Days. And number 1 was Stay Stoned, because honestly, the two were absolutely required to even attempt to digest this audio garbage.
this is stoner music. You have to be stoned for it. It's stoner music. Like,
I mean, it sobered me up though. I mean, what's the point of that garbage if it doesn't do the desired result? I mean,
it couldn't have sobered you up as much as your album did. No fucking way in hell.
Oh, I hadn't even taken my medicine before I listened to my album, because I was like, oh, this will be an easy fix. Blah. Because I mean, like I said, I specifically picked it outside of the shuffle because I knew you would hate it. I just knew you would hate it.
Well, and actually, yeah, it's funny because My Garden is a good song. It's just not one of my favorites, but it's a damn good song.
I mean, I had to pick 5.
I only picked 4 on yours, but that's because I didn't have a choice, really.
I didn't blame you for only picking 4, because honestly, I didn't expect you to even pick 1. I mean, I literally the only reason I picked the album was because I knew you would just hate it.
I mean, that album.
Would you rather listen to Muddy Waters?
It's a close call,
and Sunhouse.
It's a close call, actually. It's a pretty damn close call. They're both just about as miserable, but Jesus Christ. But yeah, don't worry, Chancy. Kottonmouth Kings has like 10 more albums, so they'll make another appearance at some point.
I told you, I have a nuclear deterrent. I just need to make sure that it's not like, a prestigious guest like the one we have today, because I wouldn't want to put anybody through that kind of horror. It's got to be like a you and me episode, and it's just going to be the worst thing you could ever imagine. And I am totally here for it.
So you're saying bring Freddie back on so you can fuck with him again?
Oh, dude, perfect. Yes, solid. I mean, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Freddie will get it. He'll understand. I'd even message him and be like, hey, dude, don't even bother listening.
Or better yet, just bring Michael Colby on and let him fucking shit over it.
Well, I mean, I would tell Michael why I brought it, and he'd probably just be like, oh, dude, this thing was so awful, but I totally get it.
Well, Gerard, where can they find you, and where can they find everything you guys do? Like, promote yourself to folks.
Yeah, undergroundmusiccollective.com is our central hub. You can find everything there on social media. Instagram is our primary, at UMC Nashville. You can also find us on YouTube at UMC Nashville as well. Focusing a lot more on the YouTube channel. That's where we also post every new episode of the Quinn Spin. 2 N's and Quinn, 2 N's and Spin. So that's on the UMC YouTube channel, but also you can find the podcast on all of your streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, the like. And also you can learn more about the show at the website on undergroundmusiccollective.com, on Instagram at QuinnSpinOfficial. You can learn more about me, if any of you are interested in that, at Gerard Longo 12 on Instagram, which, tends to be a lot of UMC stuff, but also just slices of life. Like right now, I mentioned back home reminds me of going home. I'm actually back in the Northeast right now as we speak, and, so you'll be seeing some life updates if any of you care. So, which you might not, but if you do, then you're in luck, over these next couple months, going to be out and about, working a festival in PA. So you get to see me capering about. But yeah, those are all the things. They're also scrolling at the bottom of your screen. So, those are the primary outlets for all things UMC.
Well, we were definitely glad to have you on. It's been a freaking amazingly fun episode, and you got to basically see us rip each other apart like always. So it's always fun to guest. But
this was hilarious. There was that moment where we didn't think I was going to make it through. Oh, the 100 feet of playground that got me. But this is a lot of fun. I'd love to do it again sometime, guys.
Absolutely, it'd be our pleasure.
It'd be our pleasure, and like I said, if you ever want to bring any of the artists you help out on, we'd be glad to have the artists on as well. And we love having artists on. It's always a fun time.
Oh yeah. I'm sure. I'm already thinking of people who I'm sure bring something interesting to the table. So don't worry.
Nice.
I got some in mind.
Nice.
For you.
Well, we can definitely talk about that later and work later and email back and forth about it.
Yeah.
Well, Chancy, where can they find you besides flying through the air on your way back to Iowa?
Well, they can find me on Facebook under my name. If they can actually find me, good for them. On Instagram and TikTok, it's the Red Eye Roundtable. And on Twitter, it is Red Eye Table. And on Maniacal Music Musings. On the YouTubes and all the other places you can get the Spotifys and stuff.
And he's right. You can find us on Facebook, streaming on my personal page, or you can find us on the Uncensored, Unapologetic, and Untamed UQ Podcast Collective Facebook group. And you can also find us on Twitter and the Gram as @Juggalo Bastard. And you can find us on YouTube as Maniacal Music Musings. And the Tiki-Taki is @Juggalo Bastard podcast. And you could also find us streaming on YouTube at Blind Knowledge Network. Because all knowledge was blind until Chancy got knocked the fuck from El Dorado to home. So.
So here we are again when the lights go on. Another ending to a night of Irish car bombs. Lots of drinks, yeah, too many to remember. I was getting hooked up cause my friend was the bartender, just playing, pulling, DJing on the jukebox. Tom Petty, Steve Miller, Snoop Dogg and Pac. People spilling their guts like they some split hogs. But that's what happens when you mix pain and alcohol. Let's put some money up and make a little side wager. 8-ball, best out of 5 with just a little paper. It's always fun to put at least $1 on it. And if you win, make sure your victory's always honest, yeah. You never know when you're gonna lose, and you never know when you're gonna win. You never know, never know. Take a look around 360 views, cause tonight when it's about to end, you ain't gotta go home, but you got to getting on out of here. Getting on out of here. So when the waitress comes round, make sure that you order up another beer. Another one. When the music stops and the lights go down, and she calls for a final round. When the feeling's right in the dead of night, at home in our sleepy towns. It's closing time, turn off the sign, make a toast to the ones above. We drink moonshine and walk the line. It's the party that we love. Yeah. How's it going, friend? Why don't you come on in? The weather's looking shicey, this ain't for many men. Please pull a chair closer here, order up a cocktail. Wipe away the day with the whiskey, you will not fail. So all hail to the bartenders tending, for taking all our pain away and not defending. The reasons why I be drinking the coke. My favorite watering hole is holding my hope. Yeah, my life, my problems are one and the same. When the clock strikes 2, that's the end of the game. Back to reality, the root of the cause. We coming face to face, all because of the lungs. And when the sign's back on, I'll be back in the mix. It's a bloody merry morning, I'm getting my fix. As the last call approaches, I fire up the roaches and order all my good friends one last round. When the music stops and the lights go down, and she calls for a final round. When the feeling's right in the dead of night, at home in our sleepy towns. It's closing time, turn off the sign, make a toast to the ones above. We drink moonshine and walk the line. It's the party that we love. Shut 'em down, shut 'em down. Bottoms up, closing time, one last round. We stumbled and fumbled and thrown the net, dragging for the business, just so we could catch. Bottle after bottle, dive after dive. This kid got loud, so I socked him in the eye, cracked him in the jaw, left, right combo, put him on the floor, played his ass like a bongo. Bouncer jumped up, threw us outside, Kottonmouth Kings, now we banned for life. But that's alright, you know how we roll. We got more DUIs than the highway patrol. All the music stops and the lights go down, and she calls for a final round. When the feeling's right in the dead of place stops and looks at me. Cats from the other side recognize my tats. What's up with that? I see whispering, must be the crown on my neck. I rep that H on my back. Right into the ball, people looking on my store. Right into the ball, time to get some alcohol. Right into the ball, where I slip into my zone. And I gotta get a shot, little hop of Patron. So hey bartender, we gotta keep it moving. Everybody wants a drink, so you better get to mixing. Need it kinda hurry, cause I need another shot. Plus I wanna get blitzed, I hate the head that smokes so hot. This life I chose, late nights and long roads. After hours in the dark, my joints stay spark. I'm bagging bundles, health is key as I chase these dreams in this concrete jungle.
When the music stops and the lights go down and she calls for a final round, and the